Well, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started at 6 o'clock sharp. We're at East Columbus Magnet Academy. We've got Principal Tamara Magwood, who has opened up this great facility for us to be here tonight, and we definitely want to thank her and her staff who've helped make this possible. We also have two great neighborhood associations. We want to thank the Moy Estates Neighborhood Association, Roosevelt Heights Neighborhood Association that helped get the word out, turn you guys out tonight, and also provided incredible snacks. So everybody has to partake, but of course you can't get a snack unless you ask a question. So I'm just saying. But I also want to say we've got some folks helping us get the word out tonight. As we know, not everybody can always make it to these types of gatherings. So we do what we can to get the word out, and we're helped by our community partners. We've got PMB is broadcasting live tonight on Boomer 102.5. So to PMB, thank you so much for your participation in this community. To Boomer 102.5, thank you for always broadcasting this live, and we hope you guys out there listening will find this a very interesting evening. We also want to thank our folks with CCG TV. This will run every day for probably about 7 days or so. And so if a friend says, hey, you know, I wanted to go, but I was working, couldn't make it for some reason, tell them just to tune in to CCG TV and they can see it for themselves. So again, welcome. I bet some of you, how many of y'all have been to a Let's Talk with the Mayor before? Has anybody been to one? Okay, all right, I got the smart aleck department heads in the back raising their hands, but other than them, we've got a couple of you who've been here, so let me kind of tell you how it goes, what this is all about. This is your show. This is your event. Nobody's going to preach to you. Nobody's going to be giving you speeches. This is for you all to ask questions. We have our department heads here, including our public safety folks, and so whatever it is, if we don't have the answer to your question here tonight, we sure enough have the right folks who can get it and get back to you. We've got some individuals who are taking down notes of your questions because there may be some things that we do have to follow back up on. And so we'll be working on that even after this evening is done. This is our 28th Let's Talk with the Mayor, if you can believe that. We do it once every quarter. It is an effort for our city government to get out to your community where you are comfortable meeting with your neighbors and friends and not requiring you to come down and see us at our place just to get our ears about something that's important to you. We started this out as sort of an experiment and a project. It really worked. People enjoyed it. We learned things we didn't know, and we were able to correct some issues that we just didn't realize were going on. And so that's what it's about. It's also, if you got some big ideas. Sure enough, I know we're going to hear some complaints tonight. That's okay. That's the way it goes. We're providing city services to you. Sometimes that doesn't always go as we plan. Sometimes we can do a little bit better job, so we know there may be a complaint or two. But I bet there's also some big ideas here. Columbus has grown and changed in a rapid period of time, but we got a long way to go. And the way we get there is through our citizens having big ideas and helping inspire us to do great things and think big thoughts. So that's sort of what the Let's Talk with the Mayor is. I'm going to make these quick opening remarks. We're going to then have the city manager say a few words, and then the microphone goes to you all. And so be thinking of your questions or your comment or your big vision for the city. I don't know, do we have any elected officials here tonight? No, we've got somebody from the sheriff's office. Joe, thank you very much, back there. Anybody else representing an elected official tonight? Okay, well, we might have a few come in as we get going, but we can track them down too, and they'll help us solve any issues that you bring up related to their particular office. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the city manager, Mr. Isaiah Hughley, and he's going to just sort of prime the pump, tell you about a few things going on in the city, and may give you some ideas for some comments tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Won't keep you long. We want to get to your questions. I would just mention just a few road projects that are in process, and those scheduled to come in the very near future. I know that you all know about Forest Road because you had to detour, and for some period of time we had to replace some bridges, and we're widening Forest Road, and they are working right now from Woodruff Farm and Floyd out to Chautauqua Road, and some of those who have to come through that area or your kids go to attend Forest Road Elementary, it's an inconvenience, but it's going to be great when it's all said and done. And so Forest Road is moving forward. The eastern connector from Buena Vista Road all the way to 80 as you're going to Macon or the Driver's License Bureau. That work has been completed, and you're probably familiar with that. Not many people are using that portion from the traffic signal at Chautauqua on out to 80 at this time, but we think as the park continues to develop and bring more job opportunities, we're going to see traffic pick up in that area. You may know or have heard, as part of the T-Splosh project, we are doing a diversion diamond at Buena Vista Road and 185. How many of you know what a diversion diamond interchange looks like, how it works? You may have seen one in Atlanta, and it's where if you're coming out Buena Vista Road, for example, and you're going to cross 185, but if you're going to get on 185, you would be coming out Buena Vista Road, and it would curve you right on to 185, and if you're exiting, it would bring you off the exit and curve you right on to Buena Vista Road. And so it looks like traffic is going to meet each other head on. There's one in Atlanta, Rick, at Ashwood Dunwoody. It's called a diversion diamond. Are you familiar with it? Yeah. And so that's what's going to happen there, but it's a very expensive project, in excess of $50 million to do that diversion diamond at Buena Vista Road and 185. And then, of course, at the Spiderweb, I was on my way to City Council from my house just Tuesday morning, and I thought I would be able to leave at 25 minutes till 9, my house, go into City Council at the City Services Center. I got down to Buena Vista and St. Mary's, and I had to make a U-turn in the road, Chief, and because I had to get the council meeting, and I went back up to 185 to get on 185 to go to Macon Road because the train was there. And so we are going to take care of that because we are putting a bridge over the railroad tracks that you will be able to get to and from home or wherever you're going. And you may notice if you turn right on Ilges Road from Buena Vista after you cross the tracks or before you cross the tracks, we've already bought and leveled those apartments, and they've removed the cement, and they're kind of grading it now if you go through there. I was through there today. And so we're cleaning up the area, and there's going to be a roundabout at that cut-through street right there as you go from Buena Vista to Ilges, and that little cut-through street there, there's going to be a roundabout right there. And then on Brennan Road, if you go around Brennan Road to Casita Road, there's going to be a roundabout. We're going to align Brennan Road and Fort Benning Road. And there's going to be a roundabout there at Brennan and Fort Benning and Casita. You know where I'm talking about? And then we're streetscaping Fort Benning Road from where that roundabout is going to be all the way to the gates of Fort Benning. And Pam, we're spending, what, $2.6 million? How much are we spending? between those two projects, almost $5 million. So those are just a few of the road projects that we have going in this area that you know about or you should know about. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the mayor, and we'll answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. And I'll say one of the reasons why the city manager was mentioning road projects, I would say two. First of all, we don't just do diversionary diamonds and roundabouts because they sound real fancy and they're different, or because they look good when they're done, which they do. But it's because these are new innovations that have been tested in other communities, even sometimes in other countries, and have worked very, very well because they keep traffic moving. So sort of the old way is the stoplights, where you stop and then you go and then you stop, you know. And they figured out ways over the decades where you have these difficult, slow-moving bottleneck intersections that some of these other transportation fixes work much better than stoplights. We didn't invent them. I see all the time people think I invented roundabouts. A roundabout's been around for a long time. So I wish I could take credit for it, but they were invented long before I was born. So those are the types of things that people that build cities, create this infrastructure that we use and take for granted every single day, have figured out better ways to do things. And the other reason the city manager was mentioning road projects is because it's really the backbone. Road projects, how your city is built, is the backbone to how you might be able to have economic development and growth in your area. Because as you know, if you don't have the basics, if your foundation isn't well laid, then you're not ready, it's not ripe for all the great development that can come. And so I know we'll have questions tonight about we want these kind of stores or these more jobs or all those really valid, pertinent questions to life today. But if you don't have the type of civic infrastructure that you need to bring that type of growth to your community, it holds you back. It's like painting over wrinkled wallpaper or something. You got to take it down, start all over again before you can grow. I want to recognize our Mayor Pro Tem, Evelyn Pugh's here. Thank you so much for coming. Did you want to say anything? She's here to listen. She's a wonderful, wonderful public servant, and it's been my privilege to serve with her these past 7 years. So as I promised, we're going to get right down to what you all are concerned about and interested in. And so we're going to have our very first question of the evening, which I think we already got lined up. And just state your first name, sir.
First name is Alfred Chester.
Alfred?
Chester. I want to ask you about, after they finished the Spencer High School, what will they be doing on Fort Benning Road with all those dilapidated buildings over there?
Oh, okay. All right. Spencer High School. Excellent question. I don't know if a lot of y'all know that Spencer High School, where it is now, is about to be closed. It's going to be moved, and it is going to be an awesome project. And to tell you the truth, I'm not sure about what they have planned for those immediate buildings, but I know the city manager, who's a Spencer High graduate, has been, he's assigned to that committee, so he knows a little bit more about it. And let me turn it over to him and have him answer your question. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Well, I am a Spencer High School graduate, a proud Spencerian, and I'm going to work up to your question, but I want you to know that they are spending some $56 million on the new Spencer High School. It is going to be state-of-the-art. It's going to be, in my mind, the best in Columbus in terms of the technology and everything that goes along with it, the best in Georgia and the best in the Southeast. It's going to be a phenomenal school. And then I'll say to you that it took a collaborative effort to pull the property together to get the acreage that was needed to build that phenomenal school on. The city actually went out and bought up 40 acres of dilapidated property along Old Casita Road and in that area that we were able to do either a sale or land swap with the school district, that they were able to go and buy additional property to make that project work. Now, we bought up a lot of economically depressed property along Fort Benning Road. We bought apartments, buildings. We did everything that we could do to acquire and clean that area up and prep it for redevelopment. We are not done yet. Now, I can tell you that we have, our community reinvestment staff have been working to acquire additional property. The one thing that we can't make property owners do is sell their property. We can make an offer, and then many times when they see that something great is happening, they think their property is worth more than what we're able to pay for it. They think it's worth more than fair market value. So while you see some things across on the south side of Fort Benning Road that you don't think look good, I don't think look good, we are still working to try and either acquire those properties if the sellers are reasonable and it's within the fair market value. We're interested in purchasing property, and you can go tell that if it's at fair market value or lower. We will not pay $1 more than fair market value for property. But once we do the streetscapes, and I talked about the Fort Benning Road streetscapes, and I failed to mention we are going to have a 12-foot wide concrete walking, biking, jogging trail that runs along Fort Benning Road. Instead of the traditional 4-foot wide sidewalk, you're going to see the trail that you see going in along Linwood Boulevard from up by the medical center that goes up, we're putting in, that goes all the way down to the 14th Street pedestrian bridge. That same concrete 12-foot wide walking, biking, jogging trail is going to be along Fort Benning Road. So we're putting a lot of effort in the beautification and spending a lot of money. And if we can't acquire property at fair market value and clean up that area, we are going to enforce where we're able to enforce, where people don't take care of their property, because we are not going to let them drag down the progress that we're making if that's what's going on. So every effort is being made to make sure the area is beautified, and it's what we all can be proud of.
Okay, one more thing. I want to complain about Brennan Road. All those cars beside the road, this side and that side, look like you're going through a junkyard instead of riding down the street.
Yeah, I agree, and it's gotten better. And you know why it's gotten better? I got people back there in the back. I ride Brennan Road, you know, my wife's State Farm insurance office is right there at St. Mary's, so I travel that area every day. Officer Poole and Pat Beegler, I require that they go out there, and every time I see cars on the right-of-way, I require that you go out there, and I require that you enforce what we can enforce. So you don't see those cars on the right-of-way the way they were 3 months ago. I bet you don't, and that's because of me. And so, in fact, I'm going to ride the area tomorrow again. I hope you guys beat me out there. But we're going to clean up Brennan Road. We are going to clean it up. So the taxi cab owners, whoever you, and all those cars on the right-of-way, Officer Poole, enforce. And so, have you not seen an improvement out there on Brennan Road?
I ain't done that.
Okay. And Tiasha, those two cars, when you turn right there on St. Mary's Road, right by the new body shop that's there where they got the bicycles, I called you last week about those. In fact, I texted you a picture of two cars that's been parked over there for the last year. And I had them go out to enforce. You know the two cars I'm talking? If you turn on Brennan, there are two cars sitting to your left. Anybody know what I'm talking about? They've been there for over a year. They got to go. So I hope they're listening, because we're enforcing.
Send a message through the radio. A couple things. Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem wants to add to that.
I just want to say we may want to look at talking with Fort Benning and the school system, because when they talked about robotics, Fort Benning dealing with robotics, that area out there with Spencer and those small businesses would be a good place.
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah. Well, you know, it's been a long time coming. I remember when I was first running for office in 2010, we were having conversations, we still do have conversations, about the need to take some of the growth and the vibrancy that we were seeing in the uptown area and replicate it in South Columbus and East Columbus and some of the other areas. And you're about to see, and it can't happen overnight. If it took 30 years to wear the neighborhood down and have it divest, people to move out, businesses to move out, the infrastructure to crumble and get old, it's going to take a while to fix it. I mean, that's just, I wish it could go faster, but it takes a while. But some of the things the city manager was mentioning about the school, you're about to also see about the new Spencer School and how it's going to transform that area and be one with the community. I mean, the school district's done a really good job with planning of how that tremendous investment can sort of net in with the community around it. But right there at, if you go down a little bit, Casita Road, there's about to be an interchange there in the years to come, right off of 185. That's going to add to the opportunities for economic development. There's going to be some things happening at that interchange there, the new interchange that will be with Casita Road and 185, that will also add to the opportunity for some development and investment in that area. So you're about to see a lot of transformation, and there's little pockets like that all over. You know, people want it to come like a tidal wave and just take the whole area and redo it all at once. But the truth is, when you have neighborhoods and large sections of your community that, again, it's taken 30 years or so to sort of the infrastructure to get older and the houses to go rental and then become vacant and become issues as far as keeping the property up and code enforcement issues, it takes a while, of course, to build it back. But you can't do it in a tidal wave, you do it in spots. And then once that gets a little momentum behind it, then people come and make the difference. They start moving back in. They start bringing their businesses to those areas. The city can do some things, but I can't go force people to move from the new house they're in that they moved away from Casita Road to and tell them they got to go on back. That's not the way government works. We've got to create an environment they want to go back to, and that's what we're doing. So it takes a while, but we have been hard at work, and you're about to see the transformation come to fruition. It's very exciting. What else, ma'am? I think you said you had okay, sure, yeah, come on. I know you said you had one too, so we'll take the lady in the pink. Yeah, just give us your name.
Jovita.
Jovita.
Okay, our announcement may have already been put out about my question, but I'm going to ask the first one anyway.
Sure.
Okay, I'm asking, why has the retail giants Walmart, Kmart, and Winn-Dixie from Macon Road south, and I guess some parts out, I guess it's east, if it's not right what I'm saying, I stand to be corrected, but Mildred Road, isn't that east? But anyway, all those stores been closed and have not been replaced with nothing but Family Dollar, Dollar General, and a place to buy gas as a front in the Gamble and on every corner on Buena Vista Road.
Yeah, it's such a great question. I hope everybody heard that. But Jovita was asking why some of the traditional stores like the Kmart's and that have closed and not been replaced, but there's these other sort of Family Dollar type, general stores. You may have heard about it in the news or seen it on TV, but I'm telling you that's happening all across the nation. It's a couple things. One, the internet is really killing these stores like Sears, the old J.C. Penney's. Malls are struggling, and it's not just in Columbus, Georgia, okay? At Kmart. And so we're seeing, again, talking about transformation, it's a transformation of industries and markets. The world is, the internet has changed the way we used to do business. And so that necessarily affects these, what they call bricks and mortar stores. So, these stores are moving to online, or they're consolidating, or they're transforming, but the ones who've come up with the less expensive models can have bricks and mortar. So they have to have lower management costs, lower bricks and mortar costs, lower product costs. And so the Dollar Generals and those type stores have figured out a model that works where they can have very small, concentrated stores and they can make a profit. But for the Kmarts and the JCPenney's of the world, very, very difficult for them to make a profit in today's world competing with the internet. But I'll tell you, you see stores adapting. Like, look at what Walmart's doing. I drove by on Buena Vista. They've opened up that Walmart market, right? And so you see them sort of adjusting, trying to find the right fit to stay competitive, to stay profitable. And just a couple of other random things to note. Nobody has the exact answer yet. And when I say nobody, I don't just mean in Columbus. Like I said, this is nationwide. People are trying to figure out, where's this internet thing going to take us exactly? I mean, you may have heard on the news that now Amazon has purchased grocery stores. So they're going to start, I don't know, delivering groceries to us with drones. I don't know what the future is going to hold, but it's going to be different. And we're not exactly sure what that means for our city, like nobody else is sure what it means for their city. But I'll tell you these kind of comments, though, that may help us all put the pieces together. A lot of times I'll get complaints. People say, I want a Trader Joe's, I wanted this, I wanted that. Kind of the higher-end grocery stores, the higher-end shops, right? Because you've been on vacation, you've seen it, you really enjoyed it, and wished we had one in Columbus. Well, I wish we had one in Columbus, too. But the fact of the matter is, shops like that are looking for certain kinds of markets where they know they can make money. And so they look for areas. Let's say we're thinking, that East Columbus, that might be interesting. Let's check it out. If there's no Family Dollar store there, if there's no Walmart there, then there's no receipt history for them to judge whether they can even come there. And so instead of us getting all mad because it's a Walmart or whatever that we don't like as much, just remember those are usually the prelude stores to the next thing, because they're there creating a market record that other retailers will look to see if they can make money there. So you want a Dollar General, you want a Walmart, even if it's a smaller little market, you want it in your neighborhood because you've got to start making that record for the other shops to see. So, yeah.
Okay, my last one.
Yeah, sure.
My job required me to go at least from Fort Benning.
The what now? I'm sorry.
My job required me to go at least from Fort Benning to probably Harris County each day. And I run across potholes that I know the waterworks done put down, and a couple of other more companies. But can somebody ask them when they put the asphalt down to kind of smooth it out some?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever called our 311 center?
Well, yes, ma'am,
okay.
I have.
Yeah, you really should. I mean, because the minute you'll call, and for those listening, and if you want to jot it down, if you've not heard this before, 706-653-4000. Or if you're at home and you got your hard line, you can just dial 311, and it comes right to us. And just say, I'm on such and such road, there's these potholes, it looks like it's waterworks, because we create a work order, we send that right over to the waterworks, and it should be fixed within 3 days. If it's not, and so if it's not being fixed in 3 days, then Tiasha, raise your hand back there. That's the lady. So come see Tiasha. She'll pull up your work order and see what happened.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, if there's not another like let's say maybe they think that pipe is going to collapse. It's one of the older ones. They need to get in there and tear up the street and fix it. Well, they might not go in and patch the hole because they're about to come in and do bigger work. So if that's the case, then they won't do it within 3 days. But Tiasha will know the answer. She'll know why they haven't done it in 3 days. So, Mr. City Manager, did you want to add anything else about potholes? What road is it particularly?
All over the place, especially Buena Vista.
On Buena Vista
Road is
between like what? Just kind of so we can get it.
Coming up here to 85. And probably in the right lane.
Okay.
And coming up Forest Road, right after you get over that bumpy track.
Okay.
Right
well,
in
if you'll
the right
give us some
lane.
specifics, I'll say this about the Buena Vista Road and the interchange. Sometimes before we go to spend $50 million doing a whole new interchange, you don't see us out there laying new road, because we're about to have to rip that road out. So sometimes when you got a big project coming down the pike like that, you're not going to have maintenance, because we know no no reason in the world to spend $25,000 repairing that little stretch of road when we know in 6, 8, 10 months we're about to start ripping the whole thing up. So that does work against you sometimes when you have a road project coming your way, is we don't invest it. I mean, we'll fix something that's big, obviously. We're not going to let people get hurt, but we're not going to go invest a lot of money when we know we got bigger dollars coming to get it right. So thank you. Did you want to say something?
Just to encourage you to call 311 and report it, because if you call 311, we expect that pothole to be repaired within 48 hours. And I'll say this to you, just know that when you call 311, it's just like calling 911 in terms of the process. They record you. You're recorded, and whether we can use your name, your address, or just your street. And we have records going back 20 years. So, Tiasha, you see that little laptop she has back there? If I get your name, I can pull you up right now, and I can tell you every time you've called 311 right now. Joe, I don't know, I didn't get your last name, but if she puts you in there, if you called in the pothole, I can tell you how many potholes you called in and where you called them in at. Go back there and see her. So you just need to know, and because, you know, some people say, well, I called it in, and I've called it in 15 times. I can go and enter your name, your address, or just your street. And you know what I can do? I can have them go back and pull up the recording, and I can listen to your call when it came in. We're that sophisticated. The City Services Center rep was rude to me and had all these words to say, and I will call Deputy City Manager Goodwin, have her go and pull the footage, and she'll play it, and I have her call the person back, because that person cursed out the Citizen Service Center tech, and then I got to call the Citizen Service Center rep and praise them for the great work they did, because they kept their composure, their cool while that person, and what did they do? They apologized. But they didn't know that we record everything. So we got it. Call 311.
And if, for goodness sake, one of our people is rude or doesn't give you the right information, those recordings allow us to go train them or take, if it's really bad, take disciplinary action. But the city manager's right. You know, you call 311, you're upset. Usually you're mad, right? Because the cars are parked on the side of the road and people need to get off the side of the road. And so you get a little excited. Sometimes some of those phone calls are pretty heated. So, but it's usually on the citizen side. But the city manager's right about that. I know, ma'am, you had a question, but she's being shy. If somebody else has one, you want me to let them know? Okay, you go ahead. So we got then over here, and we got, you had your hand up first, and there, and then we'll get to you. Yes.
Okay, so my name is Asia Gibson. I am a proud millennial who begrudgingly moved back to Columbus in January. So, so I'll explain why. So, since moving back in January, I decided not to work and just kind of live life for a little bit. And in saying that, I was able to travel to different cities and kind of get a vibe for what I wanted, where I wanted to live. Up until this month, I was still looking to relocate, but instead I decided to stay here for a couple more months. In saying that, though, what kind of programs or initiatives do you all have to kind of cater towards millennials and like try to retain them in the city? Because I don't really see anything that, you know, will make me really want to plant roots here, or people in general.
Well, first of all, there are a lot of organizations. We have a young professionals organization with our Chamber of Commerce. You may go, oh my God, not all those old stuffy guys. You would not recognize the Chamber of Commerce today.
Okay.
They're your age. I mean, the young professionals, it's everybody from artists to people who are journalists. It's not just the bankers and the, you know, there are entrepreneurs there.
Okay.
People who have their own business. We now in our city and through our Chamber of Commerce have a chief entrepreneurial officer. And he's usually here, so he must have something going on. He comes to almost every single one of these. His name's Frank Brasky. And he, let's just say, I don't know which business it is, but let's say Commerce and pitch that idea, get some guidance on how we have people who specialize in inventions and patents and things of that nature to help you and guide you without you falling into some of these traps, because you do know if you're inventing something, there's a whole lot of people that love to take advantage
Right.
of particularly young people or people who are new in that business. But we give you the proper guidance, and we are now developing a program where we're going to have a competition, if you will, a program, let's call it, instead of a competition, through which those that have the better, stronger ideas and have done the hard work to get the business plans can actually be funded. So that is an example of a program that we have very specifically targeted for millennials, because you all are the generation of innovation. That's supposed to be your thing. Back generations before me, it was about working in the factory. And then my generation was supposed to be about the service industry. And your generation is about inventions and innovation. You guys are rethinking the way to do things, whether that's a product or whether that's just a new system. And so we're having to change. That's why I said you wouldn't, when I say Chamber of Commerce, everybody goes, oh my God, a bunch of old people and, bankers, whatever. I'm sure there's some bankers in there, and I don't mean anything bad about all the bankers that are listening on the radio right now. We need them too. But it's changed. The world has changed, and we're keeping up with that. So young professionals, Chamber of Commerce with the entrepreneurial programs, even the people that work there now are your age. It's amazing to see. But there's other young professional programs as well. The Urban League has an awesome, matter of fact, the Urban League's young professional team sponsored the last one, the last Let's Talk with the Mayor in June. It was the Urban League Young Professionals, the Young Art Patrons of Columbus. You talk about some awesome people. Matter of fact, there's a exhibit going on right now at the museum that's about alternative, art and just some really funky, great stuff. And that was put together by the Young Art Patrons. And they have awesome programs. So it was the Young Art Patrons, the Young Professionals of the Urban League, the Young Professionals of the Chamber of Commerce, and it seems like there was one other group I'm leaving out. But again, there are a lot of organizations that meet today's needs. A lot of folks in this room may remember, you might have been a member of the Lions Club, or you heard about the Kiwanis Club, and they're still around. But you all are doing things differently. You just don't join clubs like that anymore the way they used to. And so these organizations and these clubs are for you. So if you're talking about that, now when you talk about sort of entertainment and things like that, we've got John Dorman in the back who is heading up our Civic Center, and you should be seeing in the local media, some really great acts. It used to be, you couldn't have an act in Columbus, Georgia unless it was country or something, it was like these little niches. But now we're getting some really great acts. In fact, John was telling me that the program, that the act Escape, the group that was here, musical group that was here from the 90s female, was here, and the people were coming down from Atlanta to see them because they didn't go to Atlanta. They came to Columbus. So you'd be surprised at that type of thing. I will say, I do hear a lot of young people say, well, there's nothing going on in Columbus. I'm like, where are you? What do you do? Get out. There are things, whether you go online with the Ledger or any other of these media sources, there's a lot of online websites that kind of talk about things that are going on, but festivals downtown almost every weekend. We have food truck festivals, and tens of thousands of people turn out. We close off streets and have bands in the middle. We had I guess probably a month ago, we had a On the Table series where we just opened up dozens and dozens of tables on Broadway downtown at night, hung lights, clear lights out, and told people to bring a dish. We probably had 200 people downtown having dinner in the middle of the road. So there are cool things going on in Columbus. And then there's also just community. People making community where we are. When I came into office, I can't remember now the number of neighborhood associations. Maybe the chief will remember. But there were a good number of neighborhood associations. Some have been around a while. Now we have how many, Chief? Like 77 or something?
We got 80 that's active, 150 altogether.
Okay, so 80, and these are organizations that are making community where they are, where you can get involved and say, this is what I want to see. Parks and Rec. Holly, what am I missing? You're going to have to come to a microphone now. You can't just shout out from over there.
You're pretty spot on, though, as far as the age group that she's referring to with all the young professionals. And she's right. A lot of people do take the connotation when you say the chamber that that's what it is, but they're not. I mean, they're your 20, 30, 40-year-olds that are the movers and the shakers in our community, that are the next generation of our leaders here in Columbus, that really have great ideas, and they are all the time doing things either to give back to the community or to join together for that commonality of what they share. And so it is a great group.
Did y'all know we have a film commission here in Columbus? How many people went to the Way Down Film Festival? Where y'all been? I'm telling you, these are people that literally had an iPhone or just a little old camera. We're not talking about, movies are not what they used to be. And so these are folks who created films with their iPhones or with little cameras and on their computers, and I am telling you, they were fantastic. And so they had a little reception, and then they teed those suckers up and had a competition. It was just a great thing to come. It didn't cost anything. Just come and watch 5 short films that people like you created. And we have the second annual Way Down Film Festival here. We've got Najee, who's a famous artist from New Orleans, has openings and events. All that. There's just people here doing great, interesting, different things. But they can't come to your front door and say, hey, why don't you come on? You got to reach out.
Right, yeah.
So I think you'll see there's a lot, we're doing a lot better job of retaining our millennials. Our statistics, if you will, are getting better in that regard. And a lot of it is because of this kind of vibe. You're just forcing us to do it. The community's more diverse than it's ever been, and your generation is just insisting that we change things. And we are. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I want to say that millennials are making a tremendous difference in the workplace. And I can speak for our government, our city government. And as the mayor was talking, I was thinking every employee in her office is a millennial. And throughout our government, and the department heads here will tell you that I preach hiring millennials. I see Haley Henderson. Stand up, Haley. She's the director of our trade center downtown, a millennial. Mm-hmm. In my office, my executive assistant is 24 years old. Our finance director, when she was hired, 33 years old. She's there now. Our inspections and codes, building codes and inspector, the guy who's responsible for construction work and overseeing. Anybody know John Hutchison? When he became director, he's like 33 years old. He's what, 34 now. I see Tiasha, assistant to the city manager. She's probably, you were 32 when you got the job, but I could go on and on and on. And so I preach even in department head meetings, if you don't have millennials in your office, you are losing out. Chief, you heard me say that at meetings. You got to have millennials. IT, they've got millennials working in critical areas of IT. So it's happening in our government. If you look in our government, you would never think the city's manager's executive assistant, who's been there a year now, would be 23 years old. And so just know that Columbus is a great place for millennials when it comes to employment opportunities in the government and in the private sector. So we want you to stay in Columbus. There are great things to do.
Eric, how old are you? 25. Okay. There's nobody in my office older than 25. Pray for me. No, they keep me on my toes. So the city manager's on to something there. All right, we had a whole bunch of people lined up. I think you were next, then you, and then you. Yeah. Tell us your name.
My name is Montrese McClendon. My brother Stephen McClendon was killed May 24th. He was killed in Phoenix City, Alabama, but he was here in Columbus. They was at this hotel on Victory Drive. And they drove him from Columbus to Phoenix City to kill him. and they drove from Phoenix City back to Columbus to burn up the car by Spencer High School. And I was sitting here listening about all of the nice things. I didn't know Columbus had this much money either, so that's cool. But I didn't hear no one mention cameras. Yes. If the hotel my brother stayed at, they had cameras for the main entrance, but they did not have any cameras in the back of the hotel, so it does not help the people that stay there. It only helps the office. And I asked the detective, I said, well, what about, surely there are cameras up and down Victory Drive, so I thought. And I think he said it was like 1 or 2 at some gas stations. So my question is, are you all gonna have more cameras installed when you do the cool roads? Okay, and I have another one. Since my brother's death, I started a nonprofit for victims of unsolved crimes. And this year, I bought Detective Anderson from Reasonable Doubt in First 48. And I reached out to you all, but I didn't get a reply because I did it informally. So I did it in an informal way. So I wanted to know if I can get an address or something so that I can invite you all next year.
Now, how did you do it informally? Because we have...
Facebook Messenger. Informal. It was informal.
Okay, I mean, did you come by my office?
No, I messaged you on Facebook. I didn't have, but you didn't answer about the invite.
Oh, okay. All right, well, she's saying we keep, just like the city manager, we keep records of everything. So go back and make sure, what's your name again?
Latrice McClendon.
McClendon. We answer every single email and message. So if we didn't, there was a computer failure on somebody's end. So Brennan is in charge of that, and she can go back and see.
Okay, because we're having another event next year in August, and Detective Anderson is coming back, and his attorney, Melissa, I don't know if y'all watch.
Now, who's Detective Agent Anderson? Tell me.
Reasonable Doubt on ID. It comes on TV. These are national known detectives. He's a national known detective. I'm bringing a national known attorney to Columbus, Georgia, again next year for our 2nd annual luncheon. And I truly hope that the chief can come, the what's her name over the sheriff department, because I invited her also.
Yeah, if you'll send it on email too, we capture all emails that we can search and see exactly when. So in the sheriff is on email, the chief's on email, I'm on email. So people, but trust me, I get 200 emails a day. So people know how to get hold of me. So you send us an email and we'll get that. Okay, so and I go to lunches. You wouldn't believe the number of events and stuff we have. So we go to events. We don't mind coming to community things. And I don't know about the one, but we'll certainly check. Maybe there was something else going on, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so back to the cameras. We don't require people who have private property to put cameras on their private property. But we might be able to. I don't know if there's a prohibition. I know, but she said something about the hotel in the front and then they didn't have cameras in the back and all that. But what I'm saying is we might be able to require people to have cameras. On the roads, the only cameras we have are cameras that take pictures of whether or not, well, actually, we don't even do the red lights. Right? We don't take pictures of the red light. We only take pictures of the movement of traffic, and it doesn't record it. So it's just to be in real time so that our engineering department can see if there's an accident, if there's a backup or something like that. So for what you're talking about, cameras for law enforcement purposes, we don't do that. Usually when you see on TV a crime movie or something, they have cameras because they're taking pictures of people for running red lights. Okay, that's what they're doing. And we've talked with our chief of police, and there's a lot of cities that have made the same decision as us, and that is we don't do that because cities who do that tend to have a whole lot of rear-end accidents where people get hurt. So you can't just put up cameras that look into people's cars because that's a search. And you have to, like, I couldn't go out there right now and start going through your car because I'm the mayor of the city and I'm an official and I need a search warrant. So I can't even look in, I can't start taking pictures of your car and looking for things you might be doing wrong unless I have some reasonable suspicion to believe there's a crime going on. So we either have to put up cameras because we are trying to catch people running red lights, Or like in New York, they do it for when they run tolls. They run the toll booths, and they've got cameras up there. So when you see these murder shows and they caught the guy because they had him on camera going through, that's because they had a camera up there for running tolls and things of that nature. We could do that. We've not done that in the past, but we can't just put up cameras across the city and begin videotaping everybody, because people have rights to privacy. And we certainly can't be videotaping them inside their car, inside their homes, unless we have a specific law enforcement reason, like running a red light. So we get that a lot, actually, and we'll continue to look into that. We'll continue to have that discussion. But if we did have cameras up on the public right-of-way like that, it'd have to be for a reason. And sometimes we don't always tell people about it. But let's say we're having a problem in a particular area, like particularly on a city manager was talking about a trail where people are going to be walking. Let's say somebody was out there mugging people. Well, we put up cameras for a period of time, but we have reason to believe there's criminal activity going on out there. So that's sort of the way it works, and yes, there's exceptions, and yes, we talk to the city attorney about what we may be able to do. We also have some situations where people on private property have, I don't want to say they've cooperated with us, but they've told us, we're having problems in our neighborhood, I'm sick of it, I'm putting up cameras on my private property, and we tell them, you do what you want. But your camera better not be looking into anybody else's private property, because if it is, you're going to be in trouble. And so it sounds so easy, but that's sort of the dynamic of what's going on. Can we put up cameras? Yes, but it has to be for a specific reason.
We got a lot of unsolved crimes and murders going on in Columbus. You don't think that's a good enough reason?
Well, I say, no, ma'am, I can't put up cameras all up and down the street and say, we got murders, we got to start investigating everybody. It has to be for a specific reason. Like, people are running this red light, people are getting mugged at this intersection. I can't just say there's crime in a defined area. I can't just say we're going to put cameras all up and down the street and we're going to catch people who do something wrong. It doesn't, because this is the United States of America. We can't investigate people unless we have reasonable suspicion to do so. So we can't just be out there watching people all the time. That's what happens in like communist countries and things like that, dictatorships. So we're not going to do that. And so no, we can't put up cameras just because we've had murders and things that we find to be completely unacceptable. But I do want the chief to talk about unsolved murders and all that. Can you talk about closure rates and sort of where we are, Chief?
Yeah, we've had 34 murders in Columbus for the year. 34. And that's way too many. Way too many. They are not stranger-on-stranger murders, meaning they're not walking in your home, they're not walking in a convenience store, they're not arbitrarily killing people on the sidewalks. These are individuals that at some point in time has had a connection with the person that's now dead, whether that comes from gun sales, whether they're stealing weapons, I should say, drugs, domestic situations. That's what we've run into in Columbus. And out of the 34, we have cleared 20, and we have 6 people in jail for those 20 murders, because some of them, of course, have been multiple defendants that's been involved in those murders. But we've still got information. Our guys are working 24/7. We have cleared some cases that, in all honesty, when we first got to the scene, we didn't know if we'd clear them or not. But we've been extremely lucky. Somebody printed the thing in the paper today about the no snitch policy. That was a great article. You cannot, folks in the community have got to talk to law enforcement. You've got people in the community that knows what happened in a lot of cases, not just homicides, but a lot of cases. And they just, because of their street code or whatever, they're just not going to talk to law enforcement. So therefore, we work on it and work on it and work on it, and then sooner or later, we'll get enough information to clear it. It doesn't take a lot to clear some of these cases. And the only thing we're looking for is that little small piece of information, whether it's a tag number, a description of a car, a description of a person, whatever. But when you get to a scene and there was 35 people on the street and somebody fired a weapon 20 times and nobody saw anything, somebody's not telling you the truth. And we have to deal with that every day.
And that's such a good point. I'll say this too. you know, we've been doing this for so long, and he's so right. People don't want to get involved because maybe they know the person that might have done it or was standing next to the person that might have done it, and that's somebody they went to high school with or somebody they know and they care about. You're not doing people any favors, because actually several of the murders we've had here in Columbus this year have been retaliatory murders. And so if whether you tell, the community tells the police about it or not, if people know an individual was involved in a murder, the victim's brother, cousin, friend, whatever, may be looking for the person they believe perpetrated it. And that's what's happened in Columbus on a lot of the murders that we've had this year, and particularly like that big spike we had in the summer. That was folks going out taking care of things themselves. That's the last thing we need. And if people had stood up and told us who they knew had done it, we could nip some of that in the bud. I'm not saying all of it, but we could put some of those people in jail who are now dead. So, you know, it's sort of a lose-lose proposition at some point, but I'd rather them not be a danger to other people and not being the subject of danger themselves. Because if they're involved in those kinds of relationships with some of them, they're involved in some dangerous relationships. And you're not doing them any favors by not talking to the police about it. So anyway, we'll continue to look at the cameras, ma'am, absolutely. We've heard that. And look forward to the invitation to the luncheon.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, we'll pass that on. Here, we had, yes, ma'am, and then in the back, and then, yeah.
Hello, Madam Mayor. I'm Vicki Swanson from Moyer Estates, and I was wondering, how is the once-a-week garbage pickup going? Will we ever go back to bi-weekly? I know a lot of people put their trash out, you know, the night before so that they don't miss the garbage man, but it just seems to me there's a lot of trash, you know, around the area now, and I was just wondering, will we ever go back?
No is the answer, and that's not to be ugly. It's because we should have never had twice-a-week garbage pickup for as long as we did. It cost y'all so much, and it costs the city, it cost us. Do you know how many communities in the state of Georgia have twice-a-week garbage pickup, household garbage pickup? 2. You know how much they pay for it? One's about $38 a month, and the other's $42 a month for twice a week. We were picking up twice a week for $14 a month, right? Do you know how many times we pass by your house every week to pick up some type of garbage? We used to be 5. Now it's 4. You're thinking, 4? I only take my stuff out once. Well, we got recycling. We got natural trash pickup. Now, a lot of communities don't have that. You just got to put it in the back of your car and head off to the dump, right? We got once a week yard waste and white goods. So if your dryer burns up, finally the motor burns up, you can put it out there. We'll come get it. So we pass by your house 4 times a week to pick up what you don't need anymore. As far as the trash, and it does take people a long time to get used to things. They should be used to it by now. But if you're seeing trash out on the roads, you call 311. We'll figure that out. We may pick it up. We'll find out who's dumping it and what's going on. And people do put their trash out the night before, but they did that anyway. They did it twice a week before, which multiplied your opportunity for trash to blow around. Now they're doing it once a week. So once a week is what we call the proper level of service. We had an excess level of service before. It was creating inefficiencies. One of the great things, not only did it save money with how often we were going by to pick up your trash, but the best thing that happened about going to once a week trash pickup, and I know it's a change, I understand. It's not what people are used to. But our recycling rate has increased dramatically, which has saved this city millions of dollars in our landfill costs. So every time you're thinking about that milk jug and what you need to do with it, just think of dollar signs, and please put it in the recycle bin. Because anything that can be recycled should be recycled, because if it's not, it goes into our landfill, and it's going to cost us, when we have to close that landfill, what, $21 million or something just to close? I can't. To somebody said 25 just to close it. Then we got to go open another one. So we have extended. Pat, can you just give us a blurb on what the once-a-week garbage has done related to the savings on the landfill and the years and all that good stuff?
Yes. About 6 years ago, our anticipated life for the landfill was 27 years. So, and we needed to start planning, building new cells in the early 2020. Now, with change in recycling, the expected life 6 years later is 37 years. So we've saved about 15 years of life in that landfill. And we're still a good long way away from having to start paying to build those new cells that are permitted but aren't there yet. So we'd have to spend $10 to $15 million to build those cells. And if we can keep extending the life of the landfill even more, then we'll be looking a long way down the road before we have to spend the money, even for the new cells, much less that $25 million we're looking at. And that price is going to keep going up over time for closure and post-closure.
Yeah. So I know it's a change and it's an inconvenience anytime you have to, something you've been doing for years and years and years, and now you got to change it. But this is such a good thing, and so I ask for your patience and your help as we try to work towards a better way for the community, because the efficiencies are huge on that. And not only are you saving money right now, but you're saving big, big money on down the road. So, Pat, something else?
Yes, just I would like to say that if you don't have a recycling cart, please call 311 and make that request. We still have the small bins for those who don't have a lot of trash and recycling, and you can ask for those small bins. We also have the large 65-gallon cart, and that will allow you to put an awful lot of recycling out there. In addition, we're approaching Christmas. Everybody's going to be having boxes, and before we got the new recycling plant, we were putting all the cardboard into the landfill, and now we can take that cardboard to the recycling plant, and that particular product brings us pretty good amount of money per ton for the recycling, for the cardboard we sell back to manufacturers. So we want to keep the money coming in from that, and so please, if you need a cart or a bin, talk about, when you call, let them know what size you want. We will see that we get it out to you. We do have them available, and we have about 35,000 of our customers now who have bins and carts, but we've got 56,000 customers, so we still got a lot of folks out there who don't have recycling containers at all.
Oh, yeah, Pat mentioned the holiday schedule. Since everybody's here and we're on the radio and TV too, tell us when you're going to be picking up over Christmas and New Year's.
Christmas is on Monday, and so the Monday pickup will be on Wednesday of that week. And Tiasha?
New Year is on.
I'm sorry? Tuesday? Oh, yes. Tuesday is Tuesday. Wednesday we'll pick up Monday. So for any time you have a holiday in the week, it's going to go to Wednesday.
Okay, so if you would have been picked up on Monday, you're going to be picked up on Wednesday. Everybody else stays the same?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, good. So anyway, I'm sorry I didn't have the answer you obviously wanted, but I hope you understand a little bit better. We try to make responsible decisions. It's like people do with their own business and their own house. Sometimes you got to make decisions. You can't do it the way you want to do it. You got to do it the way you need to do it. So, yes, ma'am, do you have something else? Did you have another one? Okay, and so we go back here. Yeah.
Sure. That help us to encourage citizens not to litter. Because much of the trash that I see, it's not coming from people putting their trash out early and it's blowing everywhere. It's coming from people throwing trash out the window. The mayor's heard me and staff, because I'm complaining that I pick up trash every single morning on Steam Mill Road. Every morning. I live on Steam Mill Road.
I know what's that. I know that. Where they dump it. Getting that little corner and then they just throw it.
Yeah, but in front of my house, beer cans and, just everything along Steam Mill Road. Anybody that drives Steam Mill Road know that we have a litter problem, and it's people throwing trash out their windows. And I got to tell you this story because I told the mayor. I'm standing at my mailbox, and the church, St. John, is across from my house, and a car pulls up through the parking lot of the church, throws a bag of trash out onto the church property. And I said, ma'am, please, come on. It's the church. Why do you want to do our community like this? She got out, picked the trash bag up, and drove over in front of my house and threw it out the window and went on down the road. Disrespectful. We have got to do something about litter. So help us, everybody. Help us to stop the litter.
And I tell you, it really is just common sense, folks. And we've all been there. You're driving down the road, there's somebody in front of you, probably a good person, and they got a truck or something, and it's just stuff just blowing out left and right. If you've got a truck, put something on top of that thing if you're going to put trash in the back of it. And if you see somebody doing it, say, buddy, what are you doing? Put something on the back of that. Because that's what we end up doing is running around picking up trash people have thrown out of the window. And, so, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Phyllis. I have a couple of questions relating to the area out in North Columbus by the DMV. It appears to be a bottleneck due to the growth of the population out in that area. If you leave off of Lynch Road and you go to take a left onto Macon, if there are cars coming in the opposite direction to turn into the North Police Precinct, and we're also on the opposite side to turn left, we can't see the traffic on either side of us, which is very dangerous. You've mentioned the numerous millennials that are coming into the community. We also have teenagers that are driving, more technology-driven. It's really scary. I've been in situations where I've had a person directly in front of me. I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, and we can't see on either side of each other until either one of us moves.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's already in the works.
We've got Donna Newman and Rick Jones. Donna, do you want to answer that? Do we have an extra?
I got an extra mic.
Yeah, Mike, you might want to give it to Phyllis, or we'll get it to Phyllis while Donna's answering the question. How about
Yes, ma'am, you're correct. That is one of our most troubled areas, if you will, as far as traffic goes. And we have been working with the Georgia DOT. That is a federal and state regulated roadway, and we have been working with them to come up with some solutions along that corridor, not just at those particular intersections, but along the corridor. And we continue to work with them. They have gone recently through a signal upgrade, in particular around the Flat Rock Road, Kitten Lake, Beaver Run section, and the intersection that you're referring to in that general area. That is on their radar, and we've had some discussions about options for improvement in that area.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because of the cost and the volume of cars, it's going to take a little while before we can come up with a solution and fund that solution.
I appreciate it. I also want to make mention, Salmon Road is another point of interest. I had a lady directly in front of me one morning. She had her little child in the car, hesitant to move. And I'm looking directly at her, and that told me at that point, she can't see and I can't see. And she's not willing to move because she doesn't want to risk her life along with her child. So I'm really hoping that we can look into that, and it doesn't have to be a death to occur at that intersection before the decision is put into place. There's a lot of traffic out that way. I mean, the growth is, it's growing.
That is an intersection that's included in that corridor study that I was referring to.
All right, thank you. The other thing that I wanted to ask, Mayor, is the railroad crossings in Columbus. One particular point of interest that I've seen is off of Chautauqua Road. Again, I have a 16-year-old that's about to begin driving, and with the technology and how they are groomed and how they are thinking and learning, the lights in and of itself, I don't think are enough to capture their attention. I think with the bars and the growth out in that area, I think that is more of an opportunity for us to prevent accidents. We see it off of Cargo Drive. I think there are bars there. I don't know if the Aflac daycare is why you have bars at that location, but on Chautauqua Road, even with the roundabout, you still have a lot of traffic and all veins and arteries going throughout that road. Is there any thoughts on that?
Any thoughts on the Chautauqua Road railroad crossing there? Why it doesn't have arms?
Those are typically done under safety projects along with the Georgia Department of Transportation. The only ones that we have been involved in have been where we were widening a road as part of a road project, and if we crossed a railroad, then we would have to improve the safety at that location. So typically those are done in coordination with the railroad and the Georgia Department of Transportation.
So
and they do.
Can we refer that to the Georgia Department of Transportation to look at it?
We can send that to them.
Okay, let's do that. And also, the Mayor Pro Tem saying it's dark out there, so maybe we can look into the lighting and to the railroad arms or some other way to catch people's attention as they're crossing that railroad track.
I can do that.
Yeah, let's turn that in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
And we've got our last question for the evening. Which one? Oh, okay, all right. We'll have to hurry it up. I know you, and then let me just say, somebody did mention earlier, they said, boy, I'm so glad to know the city has so much money. This city does have a budget of $270 million. That's a lot of money, but it takes a lot of fire department, police department, sheriff's folks, general government folks to run this huge city, and that also includes some of the projects you've been hearing about. But some of that money, too, is a lot of it, the big dollars, is usually coming in from the state. Some of it is a penny sales tax. We have to do some of the road projects, but we get the big dollar money comes in from the state of Georgia and the federal government to help us with roads, the Federal Highway Administration, things like that. So just wanted to let y'all know we're just getting the benefit of millions of dollars from some of these other governmental agencies. Yes, ma'am. If you would speed along, we got one more lady too. We want to, just a few minutes.
Thank you, young man.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I am Audrey Palmore, and Mayor Tomlinson, I'd like to start by asking you, are you presently titled as the Public Safety Director for the City Government of Columbus?
Yes, I've been so titled since January of 2011.
Thank you for your response. My reason for appearing at this event is to request a personal meeting face-to-face in the same room with you because of a case report initiated by an officer of the Columbus Police Department. I have made several efforts to contact the officer, yet my success of talking to the officer by phone so that I can meet with the officer face to face. I have been given the officer's personal telephone number at work, and I have been told by fellow officers of the officer to call them and tell them if I don't hear from the officer. I haven't heard from the officer. And I...
The event at the church a couple years ago, 2 years ago?
No, but I will...
Relate to?
Do you want me to read the... I want to finish reading. I would appreciate if you would allow me.
Trying to speed up since we're a few minutes.
Well, I only have...
It's about the item you keep...
I only have 30 seconds to finish.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mayor Tomlinson. This forum is providing an opportunity to be heard regarding this particular concern I am currently connected to. I will appreciate the personal face-to-face meeting scheduled with you on or before January 4th, 2018, before the next City Council meeting of January 9, 2018. Thank you for your attention.
But about what? What do you want to meet about?
Okay. My reason for appearing at this event is to request a personal meeting, and it is based on the case report initiated by an officer of the Columbus Police Department.
Okay. And the only reason I keep asking is because I know you've been to council several times.
And we'll come again if
Trying to meet
necessary.
For years, because,
Yes.
and this is all public, so I ain't telling anybody secrets, but I guess now it's been about 2 years we've been at this.
No, it was actually was June. Actually, I came before council in July
Okay.
of 2017.
Okay.
And
I
you
just
asked the proper authorities. You asked the proper authorities to take me off of the mic,
Right.
which was your you're right.
Right.
But I'm here today, standing in front of an open mic,
Right.
to tell you
Yes.
that I have a case report
Yes, ma'am.
that needs to be
All right.
talked about with whomever,
Now,
but I want you in the same
Explain
room.
why we're going through all this, and nobody thinks we don't listen to people. And thank you, Ms. Palmore. There was an incident, a dispute, and someone called the police, and I believe you were arrested, and you believe you were wrongfully arrested. But what happens is it ain't the police's fault if you call somebody and lodge a complaint because there is a dispute and they arrest somebody on the basis of that complaint. And so you had the opportunity to sue the person who had called the police for a false report or for whatever defamation, for whatever you wanted to sue them for, and so it's in the courts. So the way our government is set up, going back to the whole constitutional thing we were talking about a little bit earlier, if your complaint resides against a private citizen, you have got to go to the court system, and the mayor's not in charge of the court system. So we keep going round and round because you want to meet with me about the arrest that a private citizen called related to a dispute, and I can't give you the relief you're looking for. You had to go to court about that. And so we've been at this now for months at least, if not, seems longer, but if you say it's only been 6 months, I'll say, okay, it's only been 6 months. It's been a very long time. And we're certainly not going to revisit it and resolve it here today.
What about the meeting time? Can you get your secretary or whomever
We've been through
to...
this, ma'am. We've been through this.
Ma'am, I just let you rattle on about what you think it's about,
Okay.
but what I brought
Okay,
evidence of
afterwards,
what
I'll
it
tell you
is
what,
about.
We're going to go ahead and relieve all these folks from having to hear all this back and forth.
No, they're going to
And
know if you don't meet with
afterwards,
me
if
by
you'd like to
January the
look
4th.
at somebody around here, you go meet them and write down what it's about. We'll get Eric. He looks like a good...
All I can do to you
And
is
sit right
provide
there
you
and
with a
tell them what
copy.
it's about so we can pull the file.
I
And
can give you a
we'll
copy
see if
of
this is
this.
the same thing or not. So that's...
Well, I don't know, I just let you rattle on and on about what you thought it was about,
Right.
but I have specific evidence
Okay.
of what it is about.
We'll get, Eric's going to get all that. There he is right there. And you tell him what it is. And we're going to get this lady's questions right here. It's going to be the last of the night because we're running 3 minutes late. Yeah, but we run out of time. We're supposed to quit at 7:15. You wait. You come on up afterwards, and we'll get it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to say, I'm the president of Moy Estates, Moy Road, and don't y'all forget all these snacks over here. Y'all make sure y'all come on over here and take this home wherever you want to take it. And it's free. You don't have to buy it. It's free. But I just wanted to put it on the calendar about the sewage. I mean, I've never seen the sewage cost this much money. It costs more than your water bill. The sewage, they telling me, is costing more than your water bill. And also, there's something else that I was intending to put on here.
Well, let me ask you about that. The sewer charge. I'll
The sewer
ask
charge,
Mark.
I'm paying like $37, $38, and they telling me because of the number is 7 or 8 or what, if it's 8 or 9, that means it's going up.
Have you called the water company?
I talked to the water company, and I mean, she thought I was really fussing at her.
Yeah.
But I said, why am I paying $37 for a water bill, and my water bill is $21?
Yeah.
And I'm paying sewage fee $37. I said, that don't make sense.
Yeah.
And so she said, well, we don't have a place to pay their sewage fee, so they put it on us, and then we get the bulk of it. I said, well, I'm not fussing. I said, but that does not make sense to me to pay $37 and $40 for a sewage bill, and my water bill is not but $21. $17.
Yeah.
And plus, we're paying $17 or $18 for garbage fee.
17, yeah.
And that's a free labor.
Well, the
thing.
one, well, that's the only reason it's 17. Remember, I was talking about how much other people's are? I mean, you know, other people pay more. 17 is pretty good, and it's only because we got the free labor. You're right by that. Let me tell you, about a year ago, the governor thought about closing down work camps. The governor closed down work camps. We're going to be paying for garbage, I just got to say. So anyway, we'll hope that'll, you know, continue, or we'll have the opportunity to phase out, because it'll be a big, we save about how much, 14, 15 million? About $17 million because we have a work camp in this community. But in any event, and then that may phase out in the future. We'll have to change some things. But the sewage thing, I got to tell you, that's the waterworks. I don't understand exactly what's going on, but you can do one of two things. Because see, I sit on the waterworks board, but I don't make the kind of decisions you're talking about. And it's a separate sort of authority, if you will. But you can email me, and I can forward it to the waterworks and ask them, you know, which sometimes does maybe get back a little bit more quickly. Or you can work with them direct, because they're the ones that have the answer to that question. Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, the Mayor Pro Tem says it's always been more, but we'll figure that out. But I want to thank, we're about 5 minutes over. I want to thank Moy Estates. Thank you so much. And also Roosevelt Heights. Let's give them a round of applause, folks.
And I want to thank Gabrielle and Taylor down at 311. They have been tremendous with me. And if you check me, I probably got about 100 calls down there. Buena Vista Road, Moy Road, I got a lot of them.
Thank
we
you.
trying to help out, and we got like MediaCom and all these pest control. They come and throw out trash right in the front of Moy Estates coming in. And I said, I'm going to get up there one day and just sit there and wait on them to throw the trash out so I can call 911.
Well, thank you. Our 911 folks are still here. Go by and see them if you got something. And thank you all for coming. This concludes our 28th Let's Talk with the Mayor. Have a good night.